Are you feeling overwhelmed by your sales process or lack thereof and wondering why you're not closing as many deals as you'd like, or why what you're doing doesn't feel seamless and easy? Are you stressed out about how to turn those leads into paying clients without a clear system in place? Trust me, I get it. I'm hired to help folks in this area every single day because running a consulting business can be tough, especially when your sales process isn't streamlined, easy, and high converting. But don't worry. I've got you, because in today's episode of CPTV, I'm walking you through the exact steps to streamline your consulting sales process and increase your conversions. This is the game plan to eliminate your stress, automate your systems, and start closing deals with confidence. So if you're ready to level up your sales process and take control of your business's growth, then keep watching and let's get to work. So before we get started, I have to give a big shout out to today's sponsor, Sign.com. You guys know that I don't do a whole lot of sponsored videos, but I love Sign.com, especially for my newer consultants, coaches, and service providers who are trying to get together their sales process, because Sign.com will enable you to automate a lot of your sales process, especially your contract and service agreement process. And you can do it so fast and so easy. We will talk more about how Sign.com will fit into the sales process and automating and helping you get more conversions a little bit later on. But I wanted to make sure I said thank you, because it really is a gold mine. It's so inexpensive, and it's going to help you automate that all important service agreement step that gets you ultimately to that invoice. And you will be able to find the link to Sign.com in the description and in the comments below. So make sure you take a look. So let's get into this. Okay, so step number one in this entire process is to build a repeatable sales process and create an SOP. Now, SOPs are something that you guys know is my jam, and they are so important and critical to the success of your sales process. And the reason why this is so important for scaling your business, because once you document a repeatable process and you're able to actually write it out, look at a documented SOP and take care of it, you can see specific steps in your sales process that are missing or that are there and can always be automated. And the key to a easy, repeatable, high converting sales process is one that has a lot of automations in it, meaning taking the manual labor out of the process that will ultimately cause you to go a lot slower. Your proposal delivery will be a lot slower. The acceptance of the proposal will be a lot slower, and it will ultimately expand your sales process to be a very long process. And that ultimately affects your money, honey, okay?
Oh no.
So building out and mapping out and taking the time to think through all of the steps that are included in your sales process or should be included in your sales process is critical in this first one. And that's why I mention it first. So here's what to really include in that. You've got to build it, right, to ensure consistency. So you're going to get your little document out. I love to use a whiteboard, as you guys know, and I just write out all of the steps that are involved in my sales process. Just write out each and every step. Then you're going to get to a layer of, okay, who is actually responsible for this step? Like, who can help me get this step done? It can be a who, or it can be a what. And it can be a who, meaning if you're a solopreneur, you're just getting started out, or you haven't really begun expanding and building your team, the who is probably going to be you.
Who?
But I will always put in there something like, Team CP, because I will eventually look at delegating that particular step if possible. But it can also be a what. And a what is usually some type of technology tool or system that will enable me to ultimately deliver that step. You want to include key pieces in this SOP, like after your lead generation, though, because we're talking about the sales process, and lead generation is a totally different process. All right. So we're looking at it and you're saying, what's the first step? What's the first thing that happens? And it's usually kind of like someone reaching out or you extending an introduction to scheduling you for your very first step, which is usually that discovery call, right? And then you're going to look at that discovery call. What happens during the discovery call? What needs to happen to ensure that the discovery call is taking place? Then after the discovery call, what happens. And then while you're creating the proposal or building your proposal, which I also think needs to be templated so that you can really quickly build that out. And then your proposal presentation or proposal delivery, and then proposal acceptance, and then ultimately service agreements, contracting, and invoicing. So you want to make sure that you map out that entire thing and create a documented SOP in order to be able to visually see what you're doing. And I keep looking down because it's like in my mind right now, I'm visualizing my SOPs and I can visually see all of the steps. So I'm able to say, well, this step should go before this step, or this step should go after this step, or I'm kind of missing a step in there. And then once you do that, you'll be able to see in that what or who column if you can use a technology tool, if you can automate that particular step. And it really does get you on that path to building that repeatable sales process and being able to streamline your overall sales process. So this step in building out your SOP and beginning to build out what that process looks like is critical in order to streamline, automate, make it efficient, and ultimately increase your conversions, bringing in more money to the show. So step number 2 in streamlining your sales process, and I've already alluded to it, is to automate as many steps in your process as possible. This is key and critical. And I can tell you about 75% of my sales process is completely automated. The only things that aren't is the stuff that I have to do or that someone on my team has to do when we are doing a sales call, the actual discovery call itself, or the building out of the proposal, which really should only take a couple of hours because you need to have a templated proposal ready to go. But once you built out this repeatable process in step 1, you'll be able to easily see which parts of it can be automated to save you time. And you have like all these steps, right? My steps are sales nurture, discovery call, proposal delivery and presentation, follow-up, contracting, and invoicing. Those are kind of the 6 steps in my sales process. And this is really truly where sign.com comes in, because sign.com can really help you streamline and automate your entire service agreement and contracting process. I get calls, emails, DMs from you guys all the time that says, they said that they were going to move forward with the thing, and then I sent them over the service agreement and it's been weeks and I haven't gotten it back. And a lot of that can do with the fact that it's not easy for them to sign off on that service agreement. And sign.com enables you to electronically send them the service agreement, then click a couple of buttons, insert their signature, hit done, and it will automatically come back to you for your signature. And that's where automating the contracting process is so important. Sign.com allows you to upload your documents. You can upload any contract or proposal for quick, secure electronic signing. And within just a few clicks, your client can sign from anywhere on any device, a phone, a tablet, an iPad, or a computer. Once they do that, Sign.com also allows you to track everything that you've got going on. You'll know exactly when your client views it. You'll know exactly when your client signs it. And you'll know exactly when your client completes the contract, eliminating the stress, because if you're doing it the old-fashioned way and you're emailing it to them, you don't know if they've gotten the email. You don't even know if they've opened it up and read it. And those are signs that are going to help you feel much better about moving through this process. Sign.com also allows you to securely and legally bind your service agreements. Every single signature is legally binding, and it's protected by Sign.com's high-level security. By automating this part of your process, you'll eliminate bottlenecks and time wasters and uncertainty and stress, and speed up the time it takes to close the deal. It will also truly impress your clients that you have electronically enabled processes inside of your business that will enable them to conveniently do business with you. And it's a great thing. And I want you guys to check out sign.com because it is so affordable, much more affordable than DocuSign and some of those other electronic contracting systems that are out there. And specifically for CP's community, you can check out the link in the description below, but you can try it out for free. And if you use my discount coupon code CP20, you will get 20% off when choosing an actual plan itself. So it is absolutely perfect and awesome. You also might be looking for some way to generate more leads, and I want you to check out my Lead Process Lab Bootcamp, which is also linked in the description and comments below. because I am going to be launching that boot camp. And in that, we are literally in 5 days going to create your entire lead generation system and process. I am pumped about it. So click the link, sign up for the wait list. And as soon as we are ready to go, you will be notified. And while you're down there, make sure that you like, subscribe, and share if you are enjoying our new process discussion around your sales process. I am excited to dive deeper, and let's get into step number 3. Now, step number 3 in streamlining your sales process is to automate and optimize your follow-up process. A lot of you out there are not following up because you're forgetting, or you're busy, or you just don't know what to say. And when you are following up in your sales process, it is a key piece to closing deals. Yes, on your proposal delivery call, you are really trying to close the deal on that call. But a lot of clients, depending upon your price point, aren't going to be a one-call close. They need to review the proposal. They may need to talk to somebody else. They may need to get somebody else on their team involved. They may just need time to think and brainstorm and research. And that's where following up very specifically, very strategically comes into play. And the best part is that your follow-up process can be automated and should be automated if it's not. It makes sure that it's consistent. It makes sure that it's getting your messaging across, and it can take your client through that psychological piece of creating that sense of urgency for them to make sure that they're moving through your process quickly. Before, I had my follow-up process manually done. And that meant that my sales team or myself had to remember, set points, times in our calendar. We actually had like appointments on our calendar, follow up with clients. We'd go in, generate these manual emails, or send out these manual messages. And it was a headache because we would forget, or a lot of time would go by, or a client that we just did a proposal meeting with would, not hear from us for even a week or 2 weeks. When I began to automate this process and really create a follow-up email nurture and sequence, it changed the game for our conversion rates. And that's why I'm telling you now, even if you're just getting started, to make sure that you do this step. Here's how we did it. I began using email sequences, and the email sequences stretched out over about 7 to 10 days, meaning every couple of days, my client automatically got an email message with something different in it. And that follow-up sequence includes all of the psychology around sales. So there would be an email that's following up, telling them, reminding them of their pain points and challenges and how I'm going to be offering solutions. The next email is going to send them a check-in, but with testimonials for them to be able to see that social proof from previous clients on how working with me has impacted them and they were able to achieve the transformation. Then also in that email sequence is some urgency. Hey, my calendar is booked. I'd like to be able to set aside time for your project. Are you going to be able to work with me? I don't want my calendar to fill up. I want to make sure that we can work together. And then another one in there that reminds them of the fact that the contract itself can be split up into payment plans, and reminding them of what the actual payment options look like, because that could be an objection. And then I also have one that includes some frequently asked questions that I get so that it answers any questions that might be going on in their mind that I'm not able to address. And then we kind of close it out with, this is your last chance, and creating that FOMO and that sense of urgency. So your follow-up sequence, when you automate it, and when you really do create it in advance, it allows you to be very strategic with the information that goes out. And I don't have to worry about anybody on my sales team or even myself remembering to follow up with my clients. We never miss that follow-up. They automatically receive it, and we're constantly at the forefront of their mind. And once I know they've gone through that follow-up sequence, I'm able to also track that follow-up status. So when I automate it, my CRM and my email marketing system allows me to then, at the end of it, when I haven't gotten a proposal accepted or a yes, let's move forward, then at the end, it automatically sets a task, a to-do task in my CRM system that says, Cheryl, make a phone call, or sales team, team CP, make a phone call, because then we begin to kind of level up our follow-up and move on to plan B. And it's really important, but it's automatic. And so I can look at what phone calls I'm supposed to be making for the day in my CRM system and say, oh, okay, these 3 people have gone through the follow-up sequence. I've got to actually reach out and make that phone call and maybe try to get an additional follow-up appointment scheduled to re-energize that presentation. So it really does. And I also like to make sure that my follow-up sequence adds value to them. So I'm continuing to stress their pain points and challenges. I'm continuing to make sure that I'm agitating those a little bit, and highlighting their pain point that we talked about in their discovery call and in their proposal presentation meeting. But I'm also giving them tips and tools on how to overcome it, even if they don't move forward with me. So I am continuing to bring them value. Instead of just asking for an update, I'm giving additional resources, tips. I'm demonstrating my expertise, and I'm automating this process in order to keep the sales flowing in. Now, step number 4 in streamlining is to create your sales metrics and track them. It is very difficult to keep track of areas in your sales process that you need to fix, right? So if you aren't keeping track of your metrics, you don't know where you can improve. And when I say that, I mean, really, in essence, mapping out how many of things needs to take place so that you can determine what your conversion rates in each area are. So when I say conversion rates, I'm talking about how many leads, right? So how many people that have gone through your sales nurture are converting through each step in that mapped out process. Another reason why you have to map it out. So I know that if in step 1, which is my sales nurture, how many people are in step 1? So if I've got 100 people in step 1, how many of them actually get to step 2, which is scheduling the discovery call? And how many of them actually show up for the discovery call? And how many of them after the discovery call actually want to see a proposal? And how many of them after the proposal is created and sent actually say yes to the proposal? And then how many of them from that proposal being yes actually contract and service agreement, and then ultimately how many of them have paid their invoice. So I'm able to see from 100 people at the very beginning, what percentage of them are moving through each step. And then when I can see my percentages, I know what I can look at to say, how do I increase my percentage? So for instance, perfect example, when I first started doing my sales process and tracking my metrics years and years and years ago, I was able to notice that only about 40% of the people that were scheduling discovery calls with me were actually showing up for them. And I was like, how do I change that? I would really like that to be closer to 70%. I mean, I can understand where 30% of the people would drop off because some people, they get remorse. They don't have time. They, are just bullshitting honestly and won't show up for the call. And that's okay. But how do I get that 40% to get to 70%? And that's when I realized I need to do more follow-up and reminders in between those steps. And so when I automated that discovery call process, I realized that when someone schedules, I need to make sure that there are reminder emails and text messages in there to remind them of our call. Once I implemented a discovery call, like reminder sequence and follow-up sequence, our conversion rates went from 40% showing up for the call to 76% showing up for the call. Then once I went in and kind of perfected that follow-up, we went from 70% to where we are today between 80 and 85%. So we really truly have an 80% show rate for all of our discovery calls, simply because I was able to track where I was and then come up with strategies on how to improve each of those conversion numbers. If you don't know how many people are converting through each step of your sales process, it will be impossible for you to fix that conversion rate and to increase it. And you don't realize how impactful a simple 2, 3, 4% increase in a conversion rate in your steps can impact your revenue. It is significant. Us going from 40% to 80% conversion rates on the discovery call probably brings in an additional $200,000 a year in revenue. That's what I'm talking about. Significant, y'all. Okay. So make sure that you understand what each of those conversion rates are in those steps, and also understanding what your average contract size is. You've heard me talk about this before. When I say to you guys, I know that my average contract is someone between $25,000 to $35,000. And that's because they're not all the same price, but I can see what my averages are because I know what my conversion numbers are. I know what my metrics are. And I also know what my average sales cycle is. I know how long it takes me to close a deal from, that initial discovery call all the way through to receiving that first invoice. And so it helps me determine my effectiveness in each of the steps of the process. It helps me see who on my team needs more training in certain areas if their close ratios aren't the same as kind of what we've set as a standard in the organization. And I can also see who my best salespeople are, or if it's me and I should be doing all of the sales. So by tracking these metrics, you'll be able to see what's working, what needs improvement, and where you can make adjustments in your process, which is why I tell you that if you want to streamline and make a very effective, succinct sales process, you've got to begin to document those numbers and keep track of your progress by evaluating them frequently, but most importantly, knowing what they are. So there you have it, right? The 4 steps to streamline your sales process in your consulting, coaching, service-based business. Step number 1, build a repeatable process and document it with an SOP. Map everything out. Step number 2, automate as many of those steps as possible. Step number 3, automate and optimize your follow-up process. Critical. And step number 4, create all of the sales metrics that you need to know in order to be able to track them, improve them, and make them better. Hopefully you guys loved today's video, and I've given you some insight into what we are really about to embark upon over the next few weeks, which is processes. It's my jam. Do not forget to check out sign.com. If you've been looking for a solution on how to get your contracting step and your service agreement step going better, doing better, making it faster, sign.com is absolutely 100% a great fit for you. Check out their link in the description and comments below. Love them. Also, if you want to join my bootcamp and map out your lead generation process in 5 days, check out that link in the description in the comments below. And don't forget, because the boot camp is going to be launching, I think in October, we have that date set. So it's just a few weeks away. Get on that wait list. Thanks so much for watching today, guys. Let me know in the comments if you've got questions about your processes. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye. Mwah! You an entrepreneur, I got what you